Proverbs 20, verse 5. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. Many years ago, I went through this season of nauseousness. I would wake up nauseous. I would spend my week nauseous. I went to my general practice doctor, and he said, "Hey, it sounds like morning sickness. Are you pregnant?" And I said, "No, I don't think that's it." And he said, "You might want to really kind of figure this out because physically, there is nothing wrong with you." And so I called a counselor and made an appointment and went and began to sit down. And over a series of months, we began to figure out what was going on. A person with wisdom began to draw out of my life what was taking place. And the primary place that I began to feel it was really on Sunday morning. I would sense this overwhelming sense of nauseousness, almost this panic as I sat on the front row. And it wasn't this concept of I was nervous about going to speak. I was actually wanting to go speak, but the musicians kept on playing verse after verse after verse, and it was creating a panic within me to where I wanted to run out the building, either in the song and let me go preach, or I'm going to run out the building. And what my counselor began to discover is, he said, "Kevin, as a pastor, you are so concerned about everybody else and so fixated on what's going on in everybody else's lives. The only time throughout your whole week that you ever have time to think about yourself is during the worship segment on Sunday morning. And you are so uncomfortable with what is going on inside your own soul that it's creating panic." He said, "You got to fix that." And what happened in that moment is that the deep waters of who I am, this one with insight, begin to draw out something taking place within me that I would have never guessed in any way. And over a series of months, we began to get to work over what it was that I was afraid to face. And now I can sit in worship on a Sunday morning with no sense of panic whatsoever, allow a verse and a chorus and a verse and a chorus, and whenever it's my time to get up, I can get up and there's no panic in that moment. None of that would have been possible without sitting down and communicating with somebody else. Here's what's taking place. And in the midst of their objectivity, for them to say, "Hey, here's what I see is going on within you." I'm not saying that everybody listening to this Refuel today needs counseling, but what I am saying is there's a good number of people that do. And the church for many years shunned counseling, looked down upon it, began to say, if you had enough faith, you wouldn't need it. But thankfully, we're in a different space today where we actually understand Scripture better, that there is a place for an objective person to use their wisdom, their insight, and their training to speak into your life, to listen and then to speak into your life and to draw out what it is that you need. So let me encourage you today. If there's something in your life that it's expressing itself in an uneasiness and a discomfort, maybe it's a nauseousness, maybe it's an anxiety, maybe it's an anger that's flashing, maybe it's a friction in a relationship, and you've tried everything else, what if you had the courage today to call a good professional counselor and just sit down and say, "Hey, I need help." It's why here at Bayside, we invest so much into our care center, into our counseling center. If you want information on that, you can go to our website, counseling@BaysideOnline.com. And I think you will begin to understand what is the truth of the Scripture. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out.